Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Central PA Theater and Dance Fest live at 1 p.m. I'm Cynthia Mazan, and I will be your host today. And our guest today is a very, very special person in my life and one of the most wonderful people I know. Her name is Aimee McKay. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background on Aimee before we get to meet her. So, Aimee began doing comedy while living in London, England, where she sold used American vacuum cleaners over the phone to pay for classes. A graduate of Emerson College, she spent 3 years touring with the Second City Touring Company, where she performed sketch and improv everywhere from Washington State to Vienna, Austria. You can find her on TV and film in Disney's Walk the Plank as Principal Snyder, New Girl, Two Broke Girls, Arrested Development, Raising Hope, The Neighbors, Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, and the Netflix film Circle. Some of her theater credits include Theater Sports, Improv Boston, Maestro, The Dirty Half Dozen, Pocketful of Tales, and Improv Theater's genre studio, Improvised Tennessee Williams. Aimee is wicked proud of the two-woman sketch and mass show Two-Faced, which was part of the Second City Unhinged series. So welcome to the broadcast, Aimee McKay.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to sit and talk with you.
This is wonderful. So, in your bio, nowhere do I see mentioned cousin of Cynthia Mazan, though.
Oh, well, I need to add that. You're right. It's outdated. Pandemic.
A little bit of pandemic issue there. So, I have known Aimee since she was about this big, right? My hands there, right? So, but what's interesting to me is we both grew up with these wonderful, strong, dynamic women who raised us. So my mother, Dorothy Mazant, and your mother, Toni McKay, who, and we'll throw this in, is the owner of Starbound Entertainment. And you can find her info on starboundballoons.com.
Yeah.
And as part of this, your mother was also a very important part of my mother's life, because it does take a village, right? Even as these single mothers out there, these strong women raising, right?
Absolutely.
Kids, and a big shout out to all those strong women out there doing this, right? They had a profound influence on our lives. And then this whole village around us, which for us was a fairly large Italian family. So I just want to kick off with that and say thanks to our moms.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you. Thank you, moms.
And to have you talk a little bit about how your mother has influenced you and how you grew up and why you made some of the choices you've made. So let's just start there.
Yeah. We'll start small. Yeah. My mom has had a profound effect on me. It was just the two of us, me growing up, and, like you said, the whole family really helps raise you, and my grandparents helped raise me. And so I had this experience of having like that extended family. So many of my friends just have their immediate family, and I really think it's beautiful to grow up around, especially different generations, whether that's older people or even the younger cousins come in, which right, the younger cousins, and you want to take care of them and teach them things. But my mom is the hardest working person I know. She has never given up. Everything that she says, like if she tells you to believe in the power of your dreams, like she means that. And she's always been supportive of me in following my dreams. So when I'm so blessed, because to say at a young age, I want to act and I want to do sketch comedy and improv, and to have a parent go, yeah, great. How can I help you do that? Is such a gift, because not everyone gets that. But yeah, she started her own company from nothing. Before that, she was working 3 jobs. I remember she worked she had a day job where she was a mental health therapist. This is a woman with 2 master's degrees. At night, she had a different job, and then she did something else on the weekends to make ends meet, because she was a single mom. And she's just an inspiration to me every day still. She's just like the smartest woman I know,
No, and that's great. And that's what we got from our mother too. And a lot of times when we're talking to young artists, right? They're like, well, get a real job and then do your art on the side. And I mean, I know that occasionally my mother would say to other people, I worry about her a little bit because I don't know how much money she'll make, but she was always completely supportive. And, and that's what we take from that. So you youngsters out there, hold on to those dreams, right?
Oh, it's true.
So tell me, what led you to improv comedy? What got you there?
When I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, I became really obsessed with Saturday Night Live. That was the in for me, right? And I loved Mike Myers and I loved Chris Farley, and I would watch these amazing improvisers, and I started to read more about them and saw that a lot of them would say, oh, Second City. They came from Second City. So then I was like, oh, what's this Second City? So I looked into Second City. And then eventually, made my way to Chicago's, where I could kind of walk in those same footsteps, and train with some of the same teachers even. But when I was young, I just developed this passion for comedy. I connected with it. I wanted to perform it. There was nothing, in small town Pennsylvania, like an hour north of Pittsburgh. I could go to Pittsburgh, but I was too young. At 13, I can't be like, can someone drive me to a late night improv show on Friday night? Like, nobody was doing that. So everything was what I was able to find. Oh, and this was pre-internet. So this was also, I would go to the local library and look up like articles on Mike Myers and then photocopy the articles and study them. And then I found a book by Keith Johnstone, which is called Improv, and he was really my way in. Everything that he said in that book, I connected with. This is like kind of embarrassing now, but I carried his book with me in my bag for like 10 years, 12 years. Just always had it on me.
So, what's your favorite thing to do on stage? You're on stage. What do you like to do most in comedy? What kind of characters? What kind of scenes?
I love, I just love being on stage. Number one, like I miss that so much, especially in the past, year and couple months. Like connecting with an audience is what I love. And now that I live in Los Angeles and it's more, I've done a lot of single camera comedies. It's not the same for me not to have that audience. I've realized that so much of what I love is having that relationship with the other person on stage. Of course, that's incredibly important, and I love that connection. But then there's that third person in the room, and that person's the audience as a whole, and tuning into kind of their frequency and gauging where you are. And especially in improv, theater, of course, but you can't change the course of the text so much in a play. But in improv, you can go, oh, okay, that hit. Ooh, they didn't like that. So being in tune with everyone. And I think that comes from, being an only child in a large family, in a large Italian family, who are very passionate and we're loud people. We were saying earlier, we just happen to be real loud people. I'm very aware. I'm kind of hyper vigilant of everything that's going on. And that really helps me in improv, of being aware of what the audience is doing, what I'm doing on stage, what character am I playing. And then in improv, right? Like, where did I put my cup last? Or making sure that if I have a cup, I don't just then throw it out of the frame. But as far as characters and stuff, oh, I love everything. The goofier that I can be, the better, and the more unlike me. Like when someone kind of makes you a mom, or like, just a wife. It's like, then it becomes my job to make it very specific. How can this be fun for me and not just serve what you want me to do in the scene? How can I find joy in whatever this is? But one character that I've played, and I've only done it twice, I think, but one character that I really enjoyed playing was the Grim Reaper, or like an Angel of Death. Like there was something so like freeing and fun to play this, like, I don't know if it was because it was like there was such an absence of fear, and it was a very lighthearted Angel of Death each time. But that was really fun. That comes to mind.
Yes, power, ultimate power, right?
Yes, I guess. But then having that power and realizing, like, just being chill with it, like being like, yeah, this is what's going to happen.
So we were really blessed to have you 2 years ago when we were still live, right? When we could be out there with people, to be here and to have you teach a weekend set of, seminar workshops. And, and we're starting to see in State College a growth of improv sketch comedies and stand-up comedy and things like that. So advice for young people: how do you know when it's right, when what you're doing is right and honest and authentic? What could you tell them?
I think you have to trust your gut. I think that's really important, because I think sometimes people will go, oh, that didn't exactly feel right, but the audience laughed. And in that capacity, you can't always trust what the audience will laugh at, because sometimes the audience, if you kill a scene, then you will get a laugh. Like, there's an old Second City story about Joan Rivers where, the big concept with improv is yes and. You give information and then add information. You agree to the information that's given and then you add more information. And that's how you can build a scene. And I think it was Del Close, who's kind of the father of American improv. He started a company called Improv Olympic, which became IO. He said to her on stage, but what about the children? And Joan Rivers looked at him and said, we don't have any children. Well, that will get you a laugh. And you just killed the scene, right? Because now what's true in the scene? What's actually happening? So anyway, to go back to the original question, I think that trusting your gut and not just trusting the laughs, but trusting that feeling of connection you have with your partner, and continually checking in and connecting with your partner, and not getting in your own head. I think that's something that's really important too, is that sometimes we can just focus on ourselves. And I've been thinking a lot lately about attention and where we put our attention. And as I said earlier, you have to have some of that attention on the audience and some of that attention on your partner and some of it on you. But playing with, I guess, the percentages to see what's most comfortable for you and how you can best be an improviser. And I think that also going back to the people who started, as close back as you can get to the people, the purest form of improv, say. So what I'm seeing a lot is there will be an improv group that took one class somewhere, and then they will take that and then they just kind of create a whole community around that. And that's fine, but sometimes that improvisation is kind of not as pure to the art form as it could be. Because if you're, studying with Keith Johnstone, like, for example, Keith Johnstone has this exercise where you don't say a letter, like, do a scene without the letter P. And so the whole time the audience is like waiting for the letter P not to be said, or you come up to a word and you're like, oh, that's going to be a P word, but they can't say P. And like, that's the excitement of it. And then improv groups want to make it harder for some reason. And so they started doing exercises like scenes without the letter E. And Keith was like, that's not the point. The point is not to jump through hoops and make it impossible. This is just supposed to be fun. So sometimes like we can take things and roll with it. So I say, be true to yourself, study with the masters, even if that's just in book form, and just have fun. Just have fun and keep pursuing that passion, I think.
Yeah, and you and I have actually been talking on and off, the past couple of weeks. And one of the things we've been talking about is, and I find this when I'm training young actors too, right? So if it's an improv for an actor, if it's an intro to acting class, even if it's an intro to Shakespeare or classics, this being authentic is important. And that yes and is also important, that to give, right, and to take back from the scene. But safety is always an issue. And that's where I find with youngsters, especially like in fight scenes where I'm like, what are you doing? Right? Or, I'll go see something that, like you said, they've taken a few classes and now they're like, I'm going to choreograph the big sword scene. And I'm like, wow, right? How unsafe it becomes. So what advice do we give young performers to stay true to themselves when something doesn't feel right and you're stuck on stage?
Yeah.
So, that's where I start to play with, you might need to toss the yes and just take control of the scene. What would you add?
Well, if an issue that we dealt with, when I was teaching in Chicago, is when a lot of women would say, "Oh, these guys just keep making me their girlfriend," or "These guys just keep making." I walk in with this big character, and then they're like, "Oh, like give me a sandwich." Right? And you're like, "Oh, like that's unsafe. That's not playful. That's putting me in a stereotype." And you might get a laugh for telling women, "Oh, get me a sandwich." So I think that there's a couple things you can do. I think the most fun thing for me, and this is just improv, not in sword fighting, and you'll see why I say that, is to just really take it, blow it out. "Oh, you want to make me subservient? Cool. I'll make you a sandwich. Yes, sir. Oh my gosh. Is this the time of the night where I lick your feet clean, sir?" And just go there. Fine. You want me to do that? Blow that out. Again, not with sword fighting, because you don't want to be like, "No, really stab him."
Yeah.
But I think that it's very difficult, because if someone has made you feel unsafe, you have to quickly figure out, okay, what is the safe, how do I make myself safe? And that's when the attention, I think, has to go, as we talked about, take off your partner a little bit and go, "Oh, okay, how do I protect this?" And I think a lot of times, if you're within a group that you're playing with a lot, that helps, because you learn how to take care of one another. Also, I did a strong women improv class in Chicago where it was only women. And we played with some techniques of what do you do when they, want you to do something demeaning on stage? So I think seeking out or creating those groups, unfortunately, and if something is continually bad, you can't be a part of it. If it's not something you can change, then you need to go make your own thing, probably, or find someone else.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I'll often tell the tale of one day, and it was, a rehearsal, but someone had done that to me and really just put me and I was like, "You know what? I'm just leaving."
Yeah, exactly.
And I walked off the stage, and the director at the time was like, "Good, because that person needs to learn a lesson, and let's see them get out of this." Because you don't have to accept unsafe behaviors.
Correct.
Right? And even if there's an audience. Yeah.
Exactly. And what a beautiful scene if he says, "Go get me a sandwich." And you go and you leave for 3 minutes and leave him on stage.
And don't ever come back.
I'm making that sandwich.
Yeah, or come back with your own sandwich and sit and eat it. Yeah.
Amen. Exactly. Right. Yeah. And it's not just a male-female thing. It can be a female-female thing or male-male thing. But that's kind of one of the clearest examples that I've personally experienced.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's always like when you get them, we're going to we're at the makeup counter. I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
Did you just drag me to a makeup counter?" Right. Exactly. So let me ask you, if you had a superhero power, what would it be?
Okay. I think if I currently have a superhero power, it would be empathy. I think that empathy as artists and as actors, and being able to have not experienced what maybe someone else is experiencing, but being able to feel that and understand where they're coming from and having compassion for that. So I would say empathy. If it was a real superhero thing, and I don't know if that's what you mean, but now that's kind of fun to play with, because I wouldn't want to read people's minds. I'm not interested in that. I think flying would be fun. What would yours be? What's yours?
I'm not sure. I know, because I'm like, I want little bits of everything, but I don't want one thing.
Agreed. Yeah. Is there a superhero that has all the things?
I don't know.
God.
There you go. So what's up next for you?
I've been writing a lot more, which has been fun, especially with lockdown. And I'm really excited about the festival, the Central PA Festival of Theater and Dance, because I'm going to be directing a couple things, and I've also coached a couple of the improv groups, DM Divas, and Michelle and Stella, who do a QVC commentary, and I'm just really excited because we're so disconnected. We're still so disconnected and still trying to figure out how to come back into real life. And I'm just so excited to do some theater and meet people and play. And so I think it's amazing that it's online and you can just tune in, whenever you like. I think that's what I'm most excited about right now.
So anything else you want us to know about you that you want to throw out in the universe before we conclude our broadcast today?
I've been painting. That's all I want to say. I have been painting. I didn't know how to paint. And when I started doing, things and getting paid for it, and when I kind of monetized my hobby of art, of theater, it became a little less fun for me, just in terms of like, oh, I can't do that just to relax now. So I started painting, and that's been fun. And I'm not good at it, and I don't have to be. I can be really crappy and do a crappy still life, and I'm thrilled with it.
Yeah, I've been playing with paint too, and I'm just like, and I'm one of those, I am like a small child with a canvas. I'm like, I'm just going to throw everything everywhere. I'm going to put my fingers in it. But it's the same thing. Like, I don't care.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, I want to bring that feeling of like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We're just playing, right? Back to everything that I do. And I think that's why it's important for me to find it with the paint and the art so I can remember what that feeling feels like.
So thanks. So thanks for being with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. And it was so fun to chat with you.
Yay. And see you again. One of these days, it'll be like I can actually say hello as opposed to, and hug and all that fun stuff. As Aimee said, she's directing a couple of our pieces for Deranged Durang, as we're calling it. We have 7 short Christopher Durang pieces that Tempest Productions will be doing for the festival. She's also coached and helped teach an improv class with both of those women, right? For DM Divas and Michelle and Stella, and they'll be part of our showcase improv. We also have some other things coming up, our new play reading series and the Central PA Theater and Dance Festival Playwriting Challenge. Hopefully Aimee will be directing a few of those too, and we'll see the winners of those coming up in the festival. The festival, yes, ladies and gentlemen, is, can we get that so it's not, there it is, June 11th through the 13th, 2021. And one of the things that Aimee and I were just talking about, and I want to encourage all of you to join us, is come have fun. You don't have to be good at this, okay? We want you to come play with us, come make art with us. We have a number of challenges. One of our challenges is learn to belly dance. Shannon Bishop is teaching this wonderful 4-week session. It's 4 little modules and you learn it. Video 1 went up this week. So you come in, you learn the module. Next week starts week 2, and then week 3, week 4, as we get into the festival, and then we put the whole thing together and you can dance with us. Same with a modern dance challenge, and we have that with Ann Van Kuren and Van Dance. We're starting our poetry challenge where we want you to go to an art gallery and then write about your experience. And poet Camille Yvette Welsh is helping to lead that and teaching you how to do centos and some other poems. Next week, we have Live at 1 on April 25th, Ann Van Kuren. On April 28th, Camille Yvette Welsh. A big thank you to Center Gives and all of you who donated to the festival. And that's what I've got for today. So Aimee, thank you again. And thank you everybody out there. And we'll see you next week and hopefully see you at the festival. Bye.
Bye. See you soon.